I spent time in therapy and I stayed exactly the same. I understood everything about myself and I still couldn't stop doing the same things. That's when I realized something most people don't want to hear. I'm going to explain why awareness on its own keeps you stuck and what actually needs to happen if you want to stop repeating the same patterns. You might be able to explain everything about yourself right now. You understand your attachment style, you understand your abandonment wound, you understand why you push people away and why you need to control everything. You can talk about your patterns to anyone who asks, but you still go home and do the exact same shit. You leave the sessions feeling lighter, and then one message, one comment, one situation, and you react exactly the same way again. You're aware you're doing it, and you still can't stop because awareness doesn't change what you do when it actually matters. You already know this. You've sat there, understood everything, and still done the same thing again. It just makes you aware that you're doing the thing while you're doing it. You end up stuck in this loop where you know exactly why you like this and you can talk about it really well, but you still can't stop doing it. Let me be clear about something. Therapy is helpful. It gave me language to things I didn't have words for. It helped me understand where my patterns came from. It gave me a safe space to talk about things I'd never said out loud. That is valuable. The problem is most people think that's the whole thing. They think if they just understand themselves deeply enough, the patterns will go away. They won't. It's like you're drowning in the ocean and someone is sitting on the shore explaining to you why you're drowning. They're telling you about the currents, the depth of the water, why you never learned to swim properly as a kid. All of that might be true, but you're still drowning. At some point, somebody needs to actually teach you how to swim. And then you need to get in the water and practice until your body knows what to do. Understanding why you do something and being able to stop it are two completely different things. Therapy gets you to the starting line, but your life doesn't change until you actually run. The moment that actually matters is out there in your life. When you're triggered, your chest tightens, your mind starts racing, and then you're about to do the same thing you always do. That's the moment your life changes or stays exactly the same. You can spend years in therapy unpacking your childhood and understanding your triggers and learning about your nervous system. You still need to practice the new response when the old pattern wants to take over. You need to wait for the moment when you get triggered and you choose differently. Then you do it again, and then you do it again and again until your nervous system realizes this new response is safe. That's the part you have to do yourself. I see people who've been in therapy for 5 years, 10 years, longer. I've worked with therapists themselves. They can tell you everything about themselves. They are incredibly self-aware. They understand their trauma deeply. They're still living the same life, the same relationship patterns, the same self-sabotage, the same avoidance, the same emotional reactions. They know exactly what they need to do and they still don't do it because they've done all the awareness work. They've skipped the embodiment work. They've unpacked everything in the therapy room. They still show up in the same way in their actual day-to-day life. It becomes this thing where therapy is the work. Therapy should be the support while you do the work. People think showing up to the sessions is healing. Healing is what you do when you leave. I stopped relying on therapy to do the work for me. And this is the part no one can do for you. I started sitting with my emotions. I wrote down about my patterns. I identified what triggered me. And I waited for those moments to come up in real life. I remember sitting there one night wanting to react, wanting to send this message, wanting to escape. I didn't do it. I sat with it. I wrote about it. I felt it move through my body. When I wanted to get angry and smash things up like I always did, I just regulated myself instead. When I wanted to push someone away, I stayed. When I wanted to control everything, I just let go. I did the reps over and over and over until a new response became the default. That's what changed me. Recognize the pattern, understand the emotion it's protecting, integrate that emotion by actually feeling it safely, shift your responses in real time, embody the new identity over time. That's the RISE method. Therapy gets you to recognize. Sometimes it gets you to integrate if you're doing somatic work. It really gets you to shift because that requires you going out into your life and doing something different when everything in you wants to do the old thing. And it almost never gets to embody because that takes hundreds of reps over months until it sticks. If you've been in therapy for years and you're still struggling with the same patterns, therapy was never meant to be the only thing. You need to take what you've learned and go and practice it in real life. You need to interrupt the pattern when it shows up. You need to sit with the discomfort of choosing differently. You need to get the reps in until your nervous system believes the new way is safe. That is the work. Therapy can support that. It can help you process what comes up. It can give you tools. You have to do the reps yourself. A lot of people stay in therapy because it feels like they're doing something. It feels productive. It feels like progress. It's easier to talk about changing than it is to actually change. Talking about your abandonment wound in a session is way more comfortable than sitting in that feeling when it gets triggered and choosing to stay instead of running. Unpacking why you self-sabotage is easier than stopping yourself mid-sabotage and doing something different. Understanding your patterns is easier than breaking them. And deep down, you already know this. That's why people stay stuck. Therapy becomes the thing they do to feel like they're working on themselves, while their actual life stays exactly the same. What changed my life and what I do with people now is the same thing. We do shadow work. We bring those deep, dark parts of yourself to the surface. We figure out what the emotions were that the patterns were protecting you from. Then we build safety around feeling those emotions. And then we go out and practice the new response in real life. We wait for the trigger to come up. We choose differently. We get the reps in. We make it uncomfortable at first and then comfortable over time. We embody the new identity until it sticks. That is how you actually leave survival mode. That's how you stop repeating the same patterns. That's the work you have to do outside the therapy room. Therapy is a tool. It's a good tool, but you need the whole toolbox. If you've been in therapy for years and you're still stuck, you already have the awareness. You need to take what you know and go and practice it in your real life. You need someone who's going to hold you accountable to actually do the reps. You need to stop thinking that understanding yourself is the same as changing yourself. Understanding is just the beginning. Changing is the real work. If you're ready to actually do that work, there's a link below to book a free call. We'll talk through what's been happening in your life and what working together would actually look like for you. Thank you for watching.